Hello, YouTube and Trade Pros. This is Victor from Trade Pro Academy, and we've got yet another video for you. We're going to be going through the options front today, and I want to show you guys how I trade options on interactive brokers. And I'm going to give you a breakdown of what kind of analysis we do, what do we look at, and some of these watch lists. So I'm going to go through this process of how we look to find those high probability trades and how we do it here with the options chain, so on and so forth. So if you guys are ready for this video and excited, sit back, relax, and we'll get right into it after we go into this intro. But before the intro, I want you guys to smash that like button. I want you guys to drop a comment down below. Are you excited for our new options course? Are you excited to be joining the Trade Pro Academy community and seeing how this is done live? Let us know below, and I want you guys to hit that subscribe button because I noticed a lot of you are viewers, but you're not subscribed to the channel. So for more great content, for more updates, for more morning updates, I want you guys to hit that subscribe button. So let's go ahead and start this intro and we'll get this going. So without further ado, in front of me, we do have the Interactive Brokers platform. I'm going to show you guys in a different video how I set all this stuff up, what I look at, but let's talk about how we trade these options on the IB platform here. So you'll notice my number one thing that I need when I'm trading options is going to be the options chain. So with this options chain, I can identify what kind of price movement we're seeing, what kind of strikes we're looking at, what kind of expiries we're looking at, all that good stuff. So we can identify a lot of the potential movement just by looking at the options chain. But the options chain, what I tie it to is the actual price chart for the option. So this is a great tool that I like. I like to look at a 1 minute candle chart for the actual price of the option so I can get a better understanding. And you can even do some technical analysis. Now, I really like to look at the 1 minute chart on the actual stock itself. So along with the options pricing, I have the stock itself down below here. So we got something that looks like this with this combination. Up here is the actual options price chart. You'll see the 505 call on Tesla, November 27th expiry. And then below that, we got this 1 minute candle chart on the stock itself. Now, what we could see in this scenario is a lot of price action here based on this 1 minute chart and the volume. I really like to look at that. Now, what else do we have here? We have a watch list, and these are the exact same, right? So the only downfall of interactive brokers is if I change the watch list for one and these guys are linked, so if these charts are linked, then they'll both be the stock chart. But I want one to be linked with my options chain and with the options pricing. So you can see I got the options chain watch list linked here along with the options pricing. And then I have the stock watch list linked with the stocks right here. And we've got this order entry and order panel right here, which is great. With that being done, how do I actually trade these options? That's the real question on interactive brokers. Now, what I typically do is I'll wait for the morning and wait for the open on the actual stock itself. So I'll do my analysis based on this 1 minute chart. But what I do is actually I'll change it to a 10-minute chart to get a little more information here on the market and the pre-market open action. So what do we have here? We've got right before the market open, we got a little consolidation type period on Tesla. I really like trading Tesla because it has the potential to move. And all I was waiting for was to see if we can break above this top. We wanted to break above this top because that's how the buy stop runs, right? You got these levels right here that were rejected right off the market open. And if we scroll back, they were key levels before the market even opened. That's why you have to identify these very key structures here on this 10-minute candle. It gives us a more quote unquote macro view of what's going on. And what we noticed here is with this technical analysis on the 10-minute chart, we were pinned right at this resistance level. And as we expected, a little sell stop run before we got that break. Why are we anticipating this break? Well, if we look at this based on pure technical analysis coming into these areas, look at this, into this resistance, just shy of 500, 499, big volume spike, big volume spike, big volume spike. Yeah, you got a decent volume spike on the way down, but every time we tested this area, you can see volume starts accumulating to the upside until finally we got that break above that we were anticipating. So how do we trade the options in this respect? We're going to have to tag team this guy and look at the options pricing. So if I look at the 1 minute candle, we can see a lot more information at that same period. This is the 1 minute. So if we looked at the 10 minute, this is what we get here on the actual stock price. So at 8 a.m., even at 8:10, we got that rejection. Then we got that rejection hitting right off the open. So if we look at the 1 minute like we were looking at before, you can see it a little more clearly, which is great. So we're anticipating that buy stop run to flush above. I don't know how high it'll go, but once we start to see this consolidation, that's when we take it out. And look at this. Support turns resistance as we were anticipating. Resistance turns support. You break the tops, you hold the tops. And how do we know that we hold the tops? Look at the weaker volume coming in on the sell side. And then eventually you get 1 or 2 green candles that look pretty nice. And that is your go ahead moment. So scenarios like this don't appear all the time, but when they do, they are great plays. So let's take a look at that. We had that idea based on the 1 minute chart here earlier on in the morning. So what does that look like on the actual price action chart for the options chain? I usually even look at the price on the options as technical analysis as well, funny enough. So we got the pop up and pull down. These are calls, right? These are 505 calls. So I like to go 1 or 2 out of the monies if I am looking at the scalp or the day trade on the options front. And look at these calls. These calls gain value, lose value, and then they start stagnating here, right? This is exactly what you want to see. And that slight little pullback, once you see this big volume chunk on this not so massive candle of calls being pushed through 945, that's when we start to look at these areas as we were testing that resistance on the S&P, or sorry, not the S&P, on Tesla. As we were testing that 500 resistance, these calls were testing that 1875 resistance. So we could start to look to pick them up midway through, maybe 1740, 1703, 1720, somewhere in that area for that continued move. We're looking at this huge volume spike on the calls when we got that huge volume spike on the actual stock itself. And there you go, that little buy stop run. So you get a 1750 all the way up here, 2930, a pretty significant move. 2390. A little dyslexic there. You get that pretty significant move on the options front. So how do we actually do this? Once the technical analysis is done and we have our ideas, we watch the volume very carefully, we go into the options chain right here. Like I said, 1 or 2 out of the money. So I did 1 out of the money, and that's where we were looking at for this option, right? If you're day trading 1 or 2 out of the money, and today is Thursday, so what I consider is the 1-day expiry is more of a quote unquote lotto play. So typically Thursdays I switch to the 8-day expiry, which is a little more expensive, but we had that idea. 1 strike out of the money for about, I think it was like 17-ish, or no, we bought it a little lower than that, 15.59. So we got it at a good price, sold 1 at 1956, 1 at 21, 1 just shy of 23. So pretty good move from there. And we look at the options pricing, right? And why I do 1 or 2 out of the money is because I want to consider the delta for the risk, right? If the delta on 1 out of the money is about 50, that's great. And also we're getting close to that end of expire. If you go too far out of the money, you know that someone's collecting premium for those calls. So that means they don't really have that high of a probability of hitting and making that move higher, right? In certain circumstances, Tesla does move, so you can afford to go a little more out of the money for a cheaper price. But especially if you're doing the 1 days, going too far out of the money is going to get you in trouble. Now, I like to look at a delta of at least like maybe a half, maybe 0.6, so we can manage that risk. Meaning for every dollar move against me per contract, I'm going to be losing 50 cents on the dollar rather than more than that, right? So you have to consider that in terms of your risk management. And what I do with the options front is I'll risk 17% of the total position. So if we have a 10K position, you're risking 1.7 for that, and you're looking to gain 30 to 45% on that front. But I like to choose options that have decent delta like this, 0.5 and greater. And usually 1 or 2 out of the money. If you're going same day expiry or 1 or 2 days before the expiry on the same weekly chart, what I'd recommend is looking for an in the money if you're going to play those. They will be a little more expensive, but not as expensive as you would go for 8 days later. You can see if you go 1 or 2 in the money, you're actually getting it for cheaper than I originally bought it. And if we take a look at this call, for example, at that same point in time, if we go back to about 9:40, I believe it was, or was it 9:40? Yeah, about 9:40, you can see this call was about $9, $10, right? In this rotation area, you're getting it for about 10.20, 10.50, about the 10.70 mark, right? 10.70 mark. If you got it down here, maybe $9, and it's now worth $13. It went all the way up to 19. So it's a pretty significant gain. So that's why think about in the monies if you're going to go that close to the expiry. But the general rule that I have is if I'm monitoring a stock, NEO, for example, as well, I'll change both my NEO price action charts to both the call or put, whatever it is, the option, and the actual underlying security. So I really like watching the underlying security for more of that price action. The price action on the chart for the options price helps as well, but we want to keep a lot of consideration on the actual price action for this chart. So we can have multiple charts of different stocks if you don't want to sift through all of these and see what's moving, but Tesla is generally a good mover. Made a nice little chunk, just under $1,000 on Tesla today, and NEO too. It was an EV boom today. So with that being said, these are mainly the principles. Everything you see here is what I use. If you want more detailed explanation of everything on the screen for IB and how we trade these options with these charts, drop a comment down below. But I've given you pretty much everything that I do and what I look for in these options, friends. So if we take another example, let's say Roku moved pretty nice today. I'll go both. I'll click on both on the watch list, and we'll take a look at the price action first on the day. And you can see Roku had a pretty nice run here on this 1 minute candle. If we go to the 10-minute chart, for example, let's take a look at what that looks like here. Pre-market, do we get some movement? Pre-market, not so much, but we have a key resistance point right here. If we do one of these, if we draw a horizontal line somewhere here, the break and retest of these tops, that's a great little move, and it holds pretty well pre-market. And then right off the open, 9:30, we just get that pop. So we got to take a look at what this looks like on the minute chart here. This is the open, really holds that support very well, and you have to get in like 1 minute off the open. Maybe you get a pullback here, but generally what you're seeing is a pretty strong run from Roku this morning. If we grab more horizontal lines to see where it pulls back to, if it pulls back into this area, I'm not necessarily saying I'm getting long in this area, but when we get that secondary touch of that area, maybe about half an hour to an hour later, that becomes a very viable opportunity for that long. So based on a technical analysis, it's just price action movement, and we're watching the volume. So it had a pretty good spike of volume on these moves to the upside, and pretty good buy volume on every test of that support level, and kind of weak sell volume on the way into it. And if we look at the calls on Roku, you go 1 out of the money, for example, and we have the price action on the calls here that give us a lot of information. So around the open, this chart looks a little more wonky than Tesla. Maybe you have larger spreads, but for the most part, you're just looking for green call volume coming in on these big green candles, which confirms a lot of that upside momentum. So again, some of these charts may not be as liquid, so we got to keep an eye out on that. And that is why we focus mainly on the price action chart for the stock itself. So having said that, we're going to have more of these options videos, more of these IB videos, and I hope everyone enjoyed these. Drop a comment down below what you think. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're a new viewer. Subscribe if you are a viewer for a while and haven't subscribed yet, so you can get notified when we drop videos like this and when we go live every morning. So to wrap this up, George has a few words for you guys to say in the outro, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hello, and thank you for watching this video. I want to take a moment to invite you to an exclusive online trading masterclass. In this event, you're going to learn 3 key things to help take your trading to the next level. Number 1, we're going to teach you a complete price action strategy used by professional traders on a daily basis, plus give you the checklist so you know how to check off each step to qualify the opportunities. Number 2, we're going to teach you how to use advanced order flow analytics to help you qualify high probability, low risk trade setups on a daily basis. Plus, we're going to teach you how to use that order flow to disqualify the trades that you're used to taking that end up being stopped out. Number 3, we're going to show you how you could apply all of this information with a small account, because you could start small and scale up. In fact, that's the only way to start, and a lot of our traders are doing it in our community on a daily basis. This is an exclusive offer you could get online only at this event. I look forward to seeing you at this masterclass and teaching you these 3 secrets of highly profitable day trading. Take care and have a great day.